I'm Sonny.
And I'm Matt.
And we are the Soundlings, and we did the music for Knockout City. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the tracks from Knockout City. It's from a band called the Hologrammatics. The track is called Don't Stop the Bop. So let's take a look. The first stem that we're going to play for you guys is kind of this throwback brass part. You're going to see that the whole theme throughout this is retro-futuristic. That was kind of what we stuck to because that's what Knockout City is. So this first part is, you know, it sounds like it was brass recorded to vinyl, and then we just chopped it all different ways. So check it out.
Yeah, and that kind of like started the whole vibe for the whole track, right?
Yep,
yeah.
That set the tone for the whole track. Maybe play over here.
Yeah.
Here's a couple more samples with that same, you know, kind of feel, but just like different textures that we threw in there.
That's fun. Yeah.
So the next part is the bass. And what we did with the bass was sticking with that retro-futuristic theme. We took like a 1950s, 1960s walking bass, and we actually combined it with a synth bass to give it a really cool retro modern kind of feel. So check that out.
So here's just the upright bass. Here's that same part with the synth. Here's the synth by itself. It's really cool. It adds just like a little bit of grit. Yeah. And like with that original sample that we have, check this out. So you can already start to hear the track starting to build.
The next part that we threw on there, it's a vocal stem, and what we tried to capture with the vocals was a doo-wop kind of vibe, and the term that we kept throwing around was electro doo-wop.
You get this little fill at the end. Then later on in the track, it goes crazy.
Yeah, so maybe let's play that with the full track so they can hear how it sits in there.
Yeah, so check out the intro real quick. This is with the sample, the bass, and the vocal stem. Yeah, so it's already starting to come to life.
For the drums, what we did was, again, sticking with the retro-futuristic theme, we took like a live drum set sound and have a, you know, a nice like swing feel going, combined with like a modern punchy kick and snare.
So here's the live drums. What that sounds like with the bass and the brass. Yeah, and then later on in the track, kind of goes to this kind of vibe with the ride cymbal. And if you add in the beat. Actually, that perk's really weird. Like, I don't even know what that is.
It's like the tiniest shaker in the world. Matt actually specializes in tiny shakers.
Tiny shakers.
So
that's true.
That's his thing.
Yep.
Yep.
So what's next? Oh, we should talk about the trumpet.
Okay, so the trumpet part in this song is one of the main melodies that you'll hear. And we actually tried out a few different trumpet sounds, you know, like just an open trumpet. We actually tried like a MIDI sampled trumpet and then a live muted trumpet. And we were just playing with textures just to see what would give us the best vibe.
So here's the open trumpet. It's got that real like glassy reverb on it to kind of like mesh with all the like the futuristic things we have going on in this track. Yeah, and here's one of this is actually the sampled trumpet that we tried out first for the live player to play to. So here's that.
Yeah, and you can see how that is, it sounds a little more stiff. You're not really getting like the full, you know, human feel to it. Yeah, so this last one is the muted live trumpet. Yeah, so moral of the story, if you have the budget, get live players.
Yeah, live players are always, it's just awesome to get that air in the track.
Yep.
You can really kind of space out your mix and put, really put the band where they need to be on the stage.
Yep,
you
totally.
know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's interesting. I'll play that muted trumpet in the track, and you'll hear why at the end of the day we ended up going with the open trumpet. It just sounded a little, it gelled with the track a little bit more. It needed to be a little bigger sounding, a little warmer sounding. So here's that muted trumpet in the track. So it's cool, but it doesn't really like gel with this track.
Yeah, great, yeah, beautifully played,
Yeah,
great
totally.
sound.
Yep.
It's just, yeah, didn't fit with the track.
Like when you hear this. Yeah, that just fits so much better.
I mean, yeah, that's my pick.
Yep.
That's our pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this next part is it's a horn patch that we played and added some really cool delay effects, reverb effects to it to, again, you know, take those retro, you know, sounding chords and patch and bring it into modern, or actually into the future.
And this was one of those things where it's like, we wanted people to go like, what is that?
Right.
You know, it's
Yep.
like, it sounds familiar. Here, I'll turn it up so you guys can hear it in the track. That's awesome.
Yeah, so then we have, you know, another effect stem, which is just, you know, sweeps and stuff like that.
Gotta have your booms and sweeps.
Yep, you need your booms, your sweeps, you know.
boom pow.
And then, yeah, so this next part is really cool. This was just one of those elements where it was just straight futuristic. What we did is we took, had to be about 10 synths,
Yeah.
and did a whole bunch of different stabs with them. It's really cool when it gets to this breakdown, and you hear us playing with the different synth textures. And there's actually a choir that you'll hear like pop in like one time. It's really cool. Check it out. Yeah, that's cool.
So here, check that out in the track. Yeah, usually that part has a trumpet solo over it, so you can kind of hear it. It's kind of cool, the contrast between like what he's playing. He's just like so chill.
Yep.
And
Laying
like
back,
the band
no
in the
cut.
back is like, oh God, trying to keep up.
Totally. And then we have the vocal chops going in there.
Yep.
One of the things that we did, we thought it would be cool if this band didn't really have any like live players except for the drummer. So, you know, there's a drummer, there's a DJ that's DJing and throwing samples and stuff, and then we have 3 keyboard players that are playing all the parts. So really, it gives it that futuristic vibe.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and all the other samples, it was like we were getting something like a feed from Earth, from a radio, right?
Yeah, we talked about how this band was like picking up like transmissions from Earth, you know, and it's like this 1950s music, and they're like, oh, that's what's hip right now, so we got to throw that in there. So all of those samples kind of have a little bit of a distortion and grit on it because of the source that it was coming from.
Yeah. So here's one of the synth lines. Yeah, so it's that walking line, and it's actually really fun to listen to that and the bass together. And what's cool about that is the bass is actually playing a really similar part in the intro. They kind of trade lines. It's like, okay, now you take it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fun going through these tracks again.
Basically adding, you know, putting all those elements together, you know, your futuristic synths, your brass vinyl samples, the old drums, new drums.
Playing the parts, like how they would play it in the 50s with the walking bass lines.
Yep, all of that gives you that retro futuristic vibe, which is what kind of made up the Hologrammatics. So now let's play all these tracks together and just take a final listen to it.
And don't stop that bop.
Don't stop the bop.